I'm Dana Denha, and you're watching FYI. Ann Arbor is showing strong signs of being the Silicon Valley of the Midwest as tech startups and innovation increasingly take root in our corner of Michigan. Among the leaders driving the momentum is Applied Intuition, a cutting-edge company developing tools to make vehicles across all sectors safer and smarter. As they shape the future of mobility, they're also on the lookout for top talent to join their mission.
We are at the ribbon cutting for the new facility for Applied Intuition, one of our great engineering firms that's doing really cutting-edge work for the auto sector and increasingly for the defense sector.
Applied Intuition is a company that makes vehicle intelligence. What that really means is the AI and the software that would be used to make cars, trucks, construction equipment, mining equipment, tanks, fighter jets, all more intelligent. Intelligence typically can mean just how they interact with the environment, but it specifically means autonomous. So the company started a little under 9 years ago in Mountain View, California, and we build tools and operating systems and autonomy that we then work with manufacturers to deploy onto cars and trucks.
And you're really leading and showing the world what Michigan is capable of.
The head of Applied Intuition is a Michigander. He literally grew up in Macomb County, went to Kettering, worked in the auto industry, went off into the world and started this amazing company and brought it home to Michigan. And I think that to me is like a story we can all be proud of.
Lots of reasons for us to be in Michigan, from a personal story all the way to the recruiting, but yeah, we're only looking forward to expanding our presence here over the coming years.
Applied Intuition is recruiting talent in our area. Visit appliedintuition.com to learn more about the corporation and open positions right here in Ann Arbor. Stay tuned, and we'll be back with more in exactly 30 seconds. School bells are ringing and the roads and walkways are much busier as students flood through the hallways and get back into the groove of learning. Get back to school safety tips in this month's City Roundup.
Hi, I'm Sergeant Mark Pulford with the Ann Arbor Police Department. Today we want to share with you 4 safety tips for the upcoming school year. The first one is always stop. So if you're approaching a stop sign or a traffic signal, make sure you stop in advance of the crosswalk because chances are there's going to be people crossing there. The second one is stay alert. Distracted driving kills, and one of the worst ways or worst forms of distracted driving is texting and driving. So put the phone down and keep your eyes on the roadway. The third one is to keep your distance. There'll be a lot of school buses on the road. If you see a school bus with the lights on or the arm down, you are required to stop. You have to stop 20 feet away from the school bus, and that includes both directions. The only exception is if it's a divided highway. The fourth one is to be patient. With the new school year, people are rushed, people are getting used to the routines, so we recommend the night before school, set out clothing and lunches, anything that you may need the following day to make your morning a little smoother and the commute a little less stressful. We hope that you have a great school year and be safe.
We live in a town with a world-class education right in our backyard, and one local is taking advantage of the tools the University of Michigan Research Museum Center provides by providing thought-provoking original science-based content that has amassed millions of followers, even receiving a coveted Time magazine honor. Joining me is Charlie Engelman, creator of the online sensation Odd Animal Specimens. Welcome to the show, Charlie.
Hello, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very excited to be here.
Oh my gosh, your videos are I just couldn't stop watching them. They're so good, and your production quality is on point. You have beautiful lighting, your camera's crisp, your audio is great, and you have a very inviting persona.
Thank you. That really means a lot coming from you. So thanks a bunch. I think,
Yeah.
when I put it together, I tried to boil it down to just a few specific things and tried to kind of do the best I could with kind of those things that you listed. So I'm glad that those characteristics shine through.
Oh, they really do. I'd like to know a little bit more about you. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you you're not originally from this area, right? You went to school here?
Yeah, I'm from just north of Chicago, but I went to Michigan. I was an undergrad back in like 2011 to 2015.
And so what did you go to school for? What was your passion at that time?
I studied ecology and evolutionary biology. So how things evolve and then how different kind of like organisms interact in the wild. Mostly science classes, things like how to identify trees and plants and birds and stuff like that. But I was lucky in that I had a lot of free time to fill in my schedule. So I was able to take other things like acting classes and art classes and writing classes and kind of fill out my coursework with some more creative studies as well.
Many years ago, you had some Nat Geo shows, right? So that was sort of where you ended up after college.
Yeah, I started making stuff on YouTube in college. And then right after I graduated, I had a couple of shows with National Geographic and then Disney. So there was a shorter show called Nature Boom Time, which was about trees and forests across the United States. And then I had a longer show called Weird But True, which was a kids' science show, which aired for 3 seasons on Fox, Disney Plus, and Nat Geo Channel. And that was my first job after graduating. I was a head writer, an executive producer, the host, and the art director of those shows for Disney.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing to go from like nothing to like you're working for Disney and you're making content that like you want to create.
Yeah, it was extraordinarily unusual because I think in television, oftentimes, like a network will want you to make a specific type of show, or you're kind of making something for them. It's almost like you are like a shirt maker, and they want you to make a specific shirt that they have in mind. But I was lucky when I started working with Nat Geo. They had seen kind of some of the YouTube videos that I had done and this shorter series on trees that I pitched to them. And I was so creative and different that they kind of just let me do pretty much whatever I wanted, which was so fun because, like I hired my family and my friends to be other actors on the show. And we were basically like playing dress up. And my friend who was on the show kind of described it in this way. It's like we're playing dress up with like $1 million budget because we just got to like be historical characters and do a bunch of extreme art projects and stuff like that. It was a very unusual time and it was an extraordinary amount of fun.
So those shows end, and then what happens?
Those shows ended around 2020 because COVID. COVID happened and television production really stopped because you couldn't really travel around. Travel was a big part of that show too. So I started trying to figure out how to do more independent style production because, like I said, I started on YouTube and then I went into TV. So I was kind of looking back into some more digital spaces and figure out what I could do there. I was experimenting with some different things like live streaming and doing shorts online. And then I remembered I volunteered at the Natural History Museum when I was an undergrad here in Ann Arbor. And I got to see a lot of their research collections, which were huge and massive. And it was all behind the scenes and stuff that people would never see. And I thought it would be interesting to try to share some of those things that were kind of closed off to people through educational science videos. And I was kind of surprised that museum collections, the pieces in the collection, weren't often used in educational videos. And I didn't really understand why, because it seemed like they're all on a shelf. They're waiting for us. We can just pick them off, film them, and talk about them. And it seems like people would be interested in it. So I kind of experimented with that idea for like about 6 months with some items that I had in my own like personal collection, like some rocks and some fossils and stuff, and came up with type of video that people really responded well to. And then I collaborated or I hooked up with the Chicago Academy of Sciences in Chicago that has a interesting research collection there, and I started making some videos there. And then I eventually reached out with to some of the people that I've worked with when I was an undergrad here at Michigan to see if I could come and film in their collection. And that was like 3 or 4 years ago. And while I've come and gone a few times since then, I think for the past 2 or 3 years I've been here in their collections, specifically filming all the stuff that they have.
Wow, that's amazing. I think I would be surprised that they were receptive to it. Not that they shouldn't be or anything, but you never know how someone's going to be like, "Mm, okay, yeah, do it," or
Yeah.
like, no, no, those are really we don't want anything to happen to those things, you know?
No, you're definitely right, especially because it's museums and the whole point of these institutions is to protect them and make sure that nothing happens to them so they can be studied for years and years. So I think the only reason that they let me in is because I had this previous connection. I studied all this stuff, so I knew the significance of it. So I was going through very, very carefully, and I was making sure I was getting the proper training to handle things the right way. And I mean, you've seen my videos too. It's not like I'm taking a skull and shaking it up or throwing it across the room. I handle things very delicately. So I think they were encouraged by that and felt more confident seeing some of the videos I had made before.
So technically, you don't work for the university; you just have a relationship with them and this Chicago museum that you were discussing.
Yeah, I don't work for the university, but I do have a research position there. So I'm like an affiliate academic or an affiliate researcher there.
Okay.
So I'm kind of part of the EEB department, the Ecology and Evolutionary Biology department, and I have kind of a official, unofficial position within the museum.
Okay, so you're there, you're part of the process, you're around, everybody knows you.
Yeah, I got my little office studio in a corner, They aren't surprised when I show up there.
Talk about, the content. You obviously have so much stuff at your fingertips. That museum is one of the best museums I've ever been to. I love
Yeah.
the University of Michigan Natural History Museum. I'm like, I need to take my 2-year-old there now because he's really into dinos and stuff. And I'm like, now's the time. Let's start going there because it's so
Oh,
fun. And
sure.
every time I go there, I'm like, I have a great time. I will say this is something I just learned about myself recently that I wasn't super into science when I was young, but now
Sure.
I am. I'm like outside with the kids and I'm like, oh my God, look, there's all these cicadas on this tree, or like, where they shed their skin and stuff. I'm
Yeah.
over there counting all these skins I'm finding. And like, this is stuff I never
Nice.
even would have noticed at some point in my life. And now I'm
Yeah.
like completely fully aware of it. And I think it's amazing to learn about the things outside.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's incredible and it's such a great resource too, right? I mean, having that natural history museum in town, it's so accessible. There's so many like incredible things there that are the best representation of fossils and animals that you can find anywhere in the entire world. And the cool thing is, so there's the Natural History Museum in town, and there is the Museum of Zoology, which is a private collection. It's like a research collection that's kind of out near Costco. And while there might be a few specimens in the Natural History Museum, there are over 14 million specimens in the research collection that's out near Costco. So that's kind of where I spend my time. And there are kind of enormous storage facilities or storage rooms that have cabinets that are like floor to ceiling cabinets that hold millions of fish bones and insect specimens and bird specimens and mammals. And it's almost like you could nearly think of any animal that you can imagine. And you can go through with your little kind of cart and pick it off the shelf. And it's right there in a room in a building out near Costco in Ann Arbor. They have everything there. It's
That's
incredible.
amazing. It's like when you go to UMA and you're like, oh, the paintings here are beautiful, and then you find out that they have like a bunch of Picassos in the basement.
Yeah, it's like a percent, like a portion of a percent of what they actually have.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So it's like the same exact thing where they just have so much stuff, and you're going to be busy for the rest of your life making these videos if you keep going.
It's like when you go to an ice cream store and there's so many options and you're like, oh, I don't know which one to get. And usually you get one, but you're like, I wish I did that one. That's kind of how I feel. It's like I choose to make a video about this and I'm like, I kind of want to wish I did that one now. It's
But that's
just
amazing because you always have the next thing that you want to do.
that's true. There's always the next thing to do.
Yeah, because I was looking at your videos, and honestly, I remember because I like this idea. They're short, so they're memorable, and you're
Mhm.
like t teaching us something that maybe you know or don't know, but maybe you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
like the one when you were talking about the sharks and the fish that has the most teeth, and then we were watching the show. Me and my husband were watching the show alone. I don't know if you've ever seen it, where people like
Oh
end
yeah,
up,
sure.
yeah, they're alone somewhere and they have to survive, and they're in
Mhm.
Africa right now. And this guy got this gargantuan catfish. And I was like, oh, the catfish has more teeth than any other
Hey,
fish.
you remembered. There you go. That's what I'm
So
talking
that's what I
about.
love the videos. They're so memorable. You remember the stuff. Even like the one that I was thinking about when you were talking just now is that howler monkey. I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
think that was a bone. I thought that was like just like a pouch or
Like a
something.
pouch. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I think that's cool. I mean, there's not that m much time to talk in these shorts. And I found kind of like what you're saying that people enjoy it more if it's kind of just about one thing and you kind of lead someone to an answer to a question that they might have about something, or you just focus in on one idea really. And, it might sound backwards, but the way that I think about these videos is not necessarily to kind of like educate people because I know I can never do as good of a job as a teacher in a classroom or a textbook or something like that. Instead, I'm trying to, um, you know, like cultivate curiosity about animals and biology and things like that. So encourage people to be curious about these things so that then when they see a catfish on a TV show or when they see a cicada shell outside, they'll get excited about it because they know a little bit more about it, even if it's just one single fact. I think that's worthwhile.
I also love the idea that I was telling you before the show that the kids like it too. They were like, "What are you watching? What is this?" It's very interesting. And like, I mentioned to you that I really think your production quality is beautiful. Do you think you learned a lot of that? I mean, obviously you were making YouTube videos prior to working for Disney and
Yeah.
National Geographic, but I assume that some of that came into play as you're making your newer videos now.
Oh, sure. I mean, I learned a little bit in those TV shows, but to tell you the truth, I learned the most when I was a student at Michigan. I mean, I wasn't in the film department, but I had a like an honors thesis that involved video so I could check out cameras. And the university is so massive. I mean, they were offering like free editing classes and free filming classes to anybody who wanted to sign up for them. So I would sign up for these things all of the time and go to the editing labs, and they had grad students in the film school kind of there to answer your questions about how to figure things out. So I kind of taught myself everything when I was an undergrad, and then just kind of carried those skills with me. And then you're right, where through the television shows, you learn how to make things look like a little bit more professional and a little bit more shiny. You learn how to light something and stage something a little bit so it looks more professional, more top tier.
Talk about your different social media channels. You obviously got millions of viewers. How can people watch these videos on their preferred social media?
Basically, if you're on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok, it's Odd Animal Specimens. I think on Instagram it's the Odd Animal Specimens, but either way, if you just Google Odd Animal Specimens, it's gonna show up there. It's gonna be right there in the results.
Are all the videos the same across platforms, or do you change them up depending?
The shorts are the same on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. YouTube is the only one that has kind of longer form videos. So videos that might be anywhere from like 4 minutes to I think some are over 10 minutes long. So if you're liking the shorts and it's scratching an itch, but you want a little bit more, you can hop on over to YouTube to see the longer stuff that is unique to YouTube. You can't really find it anywhere else.
Yeah, I did do that, and I did like it too. I liked watching a few shorts, and then I went over to YouTube and I watched a little longer one, and it was great both ways, just depending on how much time you have, honestly.
Yeah. Thank you.
Talk
Thanks for
about,
watching them.
oh yeah, no, I'm going to continue to watch them. I think they're really good. Talk about the music, the editing. The music is coming from someone you're related to or friends with, right?
Yeah. Um, so my videos are edited with like a piano backtrack, and it's not a continuous piano playing along. It's kind of piano notes that punctuate certain movements or something like that. So if I open something up, like imagine I'm opening up a clam, it'll be like ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, or something like
Yeah.
that, kind of coordinated. And I'm so lucky. My brother-in-law is John Etzel, who is the pianist for the Detroit Opera. So, I really lucked into that one. And here's how it'll work. So we'll schedule like a recording session, me and John, and I'll have some ideas for tones that I'll ask him to play. And I'll say like, what if I'm opening something up like the clam? Or what if realize something? What would you play for that? And he would play a tone. And I'd be like, try to make it shorter, and he'd replay it. Or I'd try to make it longer, and we'll replay it. And we'll have a bunch of these tones that we'll kind of put together. And I'll have a library of sounds that then I could kind of slot in to different parts of the video. So if I'm editing a video on sharks and I pull a shark out of a jar, I can think, oh, what sound would work for there? I go to the library of sounds that John made, and then I'll kind of slot in the correct one. So it's fun. I think people like it because it's kind of gentle. It's nostalgic. It reminds them a lot of Mr. Rogers comparisons I get in the comments, and I think it makes everything feel kind of gentle and fun and cozy. It makes it feel good, which is nice when you're looking at animal specimens that can admittedly be a little bit kind of shocking when you're looking at them initially.
Well, how luxurious to have that, to
I
have your
know, right?
own.
And who like I have a little bit of musical knowledge, but I don't know much about chords or things like that. So I could be like, what would you play if I made a mistake and was felt bad about it? And like that's all the direction he needs, and he'll play something that works. It's really nice.
Yeah, because most of us just have some, a program that has music and sound effects that we use. It's not as
Yeah,
nice as like being like, "Hey, you're a professional. Can you
yeah.
create this noise for me?"
Hey,
That's
man.
really cool.
Yeah, it makes it feel very special and different, which I think is nice.
It really does, and you can tell that the music's like created for it. It feels like you feel that when you're watching it.
Nice, I'm glad.
Talk about that Time Magazine honor that you got. What is it? How did it come about? And then what happened after, you had to go get honored, right?
Yeah, I had to go get honored in New York. That was cool. So Time came out with their inaugural list of the most influential content creators on the internet. And I was on the list for Odd Animal Specimens, which was very surprising. I thought that initially it was a scam email when it came through because it was just kind of shocking of anybody they could have possibly listed on the internet. Everybody with a podcast, a YouTube channel, a TikTok or Instagram creator, someone over there at Time was a fan of these videos, I guess. So we kind of got onto the list. It was really great. We were in this kind of section that included a lot of kind of educators and communicators who were kind of sharing things that were more kind of cultural or more about newsworthy things, or like I said, education. So it was a great group to be in. And then we were like, the Hot Ones guy was on it too, or like popular podcasters that you would have heard of. So that was kind of surprising. I realized it wasn't a scam when they eventually asked for photos to include with the article, and I got an invite to this kind of event in New York where all of those people were going to be at. So I flew out to New York, And there's this big event with all of the creators. It was a little intimidating. I was a little out of my element, but I got to talk to a lot of interesting people who were also on the list and other people who were invited, and it was fun to kind of connect with other content creators out there.
That's amazing. And obviously you are making an impact. You have millions of people that follow you and want to know what your videos are. When I looked you up, I was like, "Oh, my nephew follows you on Instagram." You know what I
Oh,
mean?
hey,
Like you
nice.
you know what I mean? I'm like, "Okay, so people I know Charlie."
Yeah,
So
that's cool.
obviously you're doing something right, right? Like people want to watch these videos. They're really beautiful. To me, I could see the world is at your fingertips. You're like the next Bill Nye, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Like there's something so beautifully inviting about you and your persona and like that softness that you talk about. Like you're
Uh,
talking about these like sort of scary, like, oh, I wouldn't want to be next to a shark in the ocean or anything.
yeah.
But you're talking about these things in a way that's so gentle and inviting. It's just so different than anything else that I've experienced in that scientific realm.
Thanks. I mean, that really means a lot. I mean, I think it was great. Like your nephew knows about it. We got featured in this Time thing. I think it's really nice because, I care about science. I love learning. I really like Ann Arbor. I love the University of Michigan and this collection, the people that work there. So when we got the Time Award, I think it was really exciting that everybody who worked on the project could kind of celebrate in the success of it. We were all kind of acknowledged by Time, which was, I think, the thing that got me the most excited. And to your point of the kind of the gentleness, I think, I grew up in the 90s when I think media in general was a little bit slower. I think some of the shows that I really loved when I was a kid were shows like Mr. Rogers, Little Bear, Franklin, the show about a turtle when I
Hmm.
was little, Busy Town, things that were slower paced, had much more kind of ambient noises, like natural noises like wind and rustling of trees, and that involved a lot of classical music, things that made you feel calm and made you feel good and almost felt like a respite from the chaos of life, which was really nice. And now when you go online, a lot of it is very loud and very stimulating and very much in your face. It can be very overwhelming and feel like too much. So I think when people come across these types of videos, it almost feels like a spot where they can rest for a little, a gentle respite from the cacophony that they're bombarded with on on these social media platforms. And I'm excited that it's different and it's working. People don't feel like it's not something they're averse to. So often, I mean, I could talk about this forever, but I'll just say so, so often I think when people make educational content or content online, they tend to revert to what has worked already. And then you just get a bunch of kind of iterations of the same thing. In the science world, you get a lot of kind of high character, high energy people that are like kind of just Bill Nyes. In the
Hmm.
animal world, you get a lot of David Attenboroughs, or you get a lot of Indiana Jones type people. Adventuring with the hat on and like, they should look like they should have a whip on their hip or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think the only way to kind of reach new audiences and to encourage more people to care about this stuff is to try different things, which is what I kind of like to do, and which is why I'm excited that it seems to be working with Odd Animal Specimens.
Yeah, it's really resonating. We're out of time, but I will say people definitely need to go on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram and check out Odd Animal Specimens. You won't regret it, and you will go down the rabbit hole and just learn about really cool stuff. Thank you,
Nice.
Charlie.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
For more on this and other programs, visit hugov.org/CTN. Visit youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor to see all that we have to offer. And remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification. Thanks for watching and tune in next time to FYI.